That's the biggest thing that I learned from this 100K, or that I actually remembered, is live in that pain and don't fear pain, because that's what's going to actually bring you to the next level, and that's where you're going to learn all those lessons. What is up, everybody? I finally got it done, got the first ultra under my belt. This is actually my first sanctioned race that's above a 5K. So I never ran a marathon, never ran a 10K, never ran anything else until I dove headfirst into this ultra marathon 100K, which is about 62.13 miles. I ended up doing it in 14 hours, 4 minutes and 11 seconds, which was about a 13.35 pace. Not the fastest time, but I got it done and I learned a lot. So these are the 3 things that I really learned from this ultra marathon, and that I'm definitely going to take into the 100 miler that I'm running in a couple weeks. Number 3 is going to be calorie intake and maintaining that calorie intake. In the beginning of the race, I was doing really well. I was taking a lot of the goos. They're only about 100 calories each, but it's really quick energy, and I was taking about 2 at a time every 45 minutes to an hour. That was keeping me pretty well, I thought it was keeping me pretty well maintained during the run. Around that 40 miles and 50 miles, I just didn't want to eat any more goos. I didn't want to intake as much. I was still forcing about one goo in an hour, but it really became apparent when I met my crew and I asked them to refill my goos in my bag, and they said there was still 4 in there. So I knew I wasn't taking in enough calories. On my calorie intake, I only ended up getting about 3,000 calories throughout the whole race, probably a little bit less. And I know Strava and the Garmin calorie counters are probably off, but it said I ended up burning around 10,000 calories on that race. So I was definitely at a deficit. I could definitely feel it. I hit that wall. I hit multiple walls throughout the race, but I think maintaining a good calorie intake throughout the whole race, and then also upping the calories in the front end of the actual race, will really help me in the 100 miler. Taking advantage of these aid stations, taking advantage of real food and the goos, and then also maybe bringing in some sports drinks and other things will actually help take in a lot of the calories. With water, I've always been good with drinking water. It's probably instilled in me from the military. They're always making you chug water, so I was definitely taking a lot of water. I was using the Salomon Agile 6, and every about 10 Ks I would refill. So every 10 Ks I would probably get down about 40 ounces of water. So that ended up being pretty good. I also had some Gatorade, and I probably drained about 2 or 3 Gatorade bottles. So that really helped with my calorie intake, or my hydration intake. Number 2 is going to be chafing, and not just any chafing, but butt chafing. I've never experienced pretty much any chafing in my life. I never had to use Body Glide or anything, but maybe around mile 50 to 60, right at the end, my cheeks were on fire. It's just that constant rubbing. I was doing the airborne shuffle for the last half of the actual race, and just that booty that booty chafing just absolutely destroyed me. It wasn't as bad at during the race, but definitely in the end when the adrenaline dropped and I was just left with blistered feet and sore legs. The one thing that really hurt was that booty chafing. So 100% I'm going to be using some Body Glide for this 100 miler. I've already been trying out a couple products. I do have this little stick that I use. You probably can't read it, but it says "Be whole only." Make sure that you make sure that you mark it right. I also put Booty Glide. I actually had no idea how to spell booty. I wrote Boody, and then my wife made fun of me. So I can deal with blisters. I've dealt with blisters all through my military career and even before running. I can deal with sore legs. I've always had sore legs, but butt chafing, it's just like fire on your ass, and that's one thing that I really don't want to get used to or deal with. So the number one thing, and this is pretty important to me. So this is pretty important to me, and it's accepting pain. Just living in that pain cave and accepting that it's going to hurt. Accepting that, you're running 100K, you're running 60 plus miles, and you have to accept that, your legs are going to hurt, your feet are going to hurt. Running on blisters is going to hurt, but you just have to accept that and just keep going and keep moving. When I hit the wall around mile 50, 40 to 50, where I hit that wall and I was pretty much reduced to walking, and I just didn't want to be on my feet anymore. I didn't want to be grinding my shoe and socks into the blisters anymore. I didn't want this fire in my butt anymore. So I just didn't want the pain. And it made me really think about all the times that I overcame pain. I overcame pain and I actually got something out of it. When I initially went to RASP and we were getting destroyed in Coal Range, getting absolutely smoked, and everybody around us were passing out and chafing everywhere and just absolutely destroyed. When I was in Ranger School and I was hungry and I couldn't even think straight, and we were just getting marched on the long walk, even with not physical stuff. Hurting people you love, that pain, failing businesses, things not going right in your life. And every time that you had to actually deal with that pain and overcome it, it always made me a stronger person. It always made me stronger physically, emotionally, in my relationships, in my businesses, everything. As long as I didn't succumb to that pain and wallow in that pain, that's when I grew. So that's the biggest thing that I learned from this 100K, or that I actually remembered, is live in that pain and don't fear pain, because that's what's going to actually bring you to the next level, and that's where you're going to learn all those lessons. So those are the three things that I really learned from my first ultra marathon. Maintaining that calorie intake, definitely doing something about the butt chafing, and learning from that pain and accepting it. I'm really excited to do my next ultra marathon and see what lessons I can learn. One last thing is crew. Without them, I definitely couldn't have finished this race. So I want to thank Luke Ryan and Kenna Molaski for supporting me on this race. I was going through the edit of this video, and that goatee was the worst goatee I've ever seen. I was so cringeworthy, I had to cut it off. It's gone. It's disgusting. It was shiny and just strangly and disgusting. It was an experiment. The experiment failed and it's gone. Never again.